What's going on for Victims and Villains? My name is Josh, and today we are talking about the 1984 movie Furious. Today we're going to be talking about the Blu-ray release of Furious. This is a 1984 kung fu sci-fi film. And in this video, I'm going to be not only sharing my thoughts overall on the film as a whole, where to check it out if you're interested in checking it out before possibly buying it, but also my thoughts on the release as well. Furious tells the story of a brother who essentially goes on a vengeance quest to essentially avenge the death of his sister, and along the way finds a lot of just batshit crazy sci-fi stuff that he has to endure, and ultimately ends up uncovering just something so crazy. I'll just leave it at that. Now, if you're like me, this is probably a movie from the 80s that you've probably never heard of, maybe no one's ever talked about, and I'm here today to tell you to seek this movie out. This movie was a lot of fun. It's under 75 minutes, has a brisk runtime, but I think the thing that I love most about it, and this is coming from a guy that is not too infatuated with the kung fu genre, this thing just runs and operates like a pure love letter to the genre. It is nearly a half hour, 1/3 into this movie, if not a little bit later, that an actual word is uttered outside of the cold opening to this film. So this film is largely a silent film, but has such a brisk pace to it that you're just entertained the entire time. This has what I would argue some of the best fight choreography of the decade. The thing that I really respect a lot about Furious as a film is that it understands that it is catering to an extremely niche audience. Even me making this video, I understand that there will be a really niche audience this review will get to, and this conversation surrounding this release will get to. I think that's what really makes this such a great film, is that not only is this such a fun kung fu film with a top-notch, top-tier fight choreography, but it's also just this really bizarre sci-fi film that just manages to blend these two elements just in a masterful way. I think this is a movie that appeals to people that are looking for lost media of an era that could have mostly been forgotten, two, cinephiles of all types that just love the medium of film for what it is, and three, I think this is really gonna hit fans for sci-fi. This is something that's really refreshing about the sci-fi genre in an era that was just populated with such great sci-fi films like The Terminator, which came out the same year, as well as Predator a few years later. This is a movie that just thrives in its simplicity, from being this really simple quest of vengeance and how that manifests into this just bonkers, bananas sci-fi film, and just how those two elements of being not only a kung fu film but a sci-fi film and how it is interwoven creates honestly one of the best hidden gems of the 1980s. So in terms of the film itself, I'm ready to run that through the Rorschach rating scale. I'm going to go ahead and give this bad boy a 4 out of 5. I think this is a very strong, very fun film to just kind of throw on. I know this film is not going to be for everyone, but if you're into kung fu, if you're into hidden gems of one of the best years in film, this is definitely a film to seek out. And I would also say that if you just want to see a film and just have a good time, this is also a film worth checking out. So moving on to the actual Blu-ray release itself, it's physical. If you guys are interested in checking out this movie and you do have a library card, it is free to stream on Hoopla. It is one of the only streaming sites that you can actually check out this movie. I will provide a link in the show notes below for not only the physical release, but also Hoopla as well. So the Furious Blu-ray release is fairly new to Blu-ray and comes to us from Visual Vengeance. And if you don't know who they are an up-and-coming boutique physical media label that essentially revives older or forgotten cult films or films like Furious to kind of introduce them to a new audience. And honestly, the thing that I love about physical media is if I really love a film, I want to sink my teeth into and know just as much about this film as I can get to know. And this is definitely one of those films that I would recommend picking up physically, because not only do you have a commentary track, but you have a plethora of archival interviews from the filmmakers, the directors, the writers, the cast involved in this film, talking specifically about this film. Like I said, this film really felt like a hidden gem for a long time up until now, where it has a wider release, so it is more accessible for people. This film definitely had the vibe of a film that was kind of one of those like secret gems that if you knew about it, awesome, and if you heard about whispers of it, maybe it was harder to find, and now it is easily accessible. And kind of just hearing the filmmakers talk about the legacy of this film and the lasting impressions that it's had over filmmakers on podcasts, panels, and even more is really such an excellent treat. Oddly enough, this film also has an entire EP on it from a band called Scorched Earth Policy that has music featured in it, kind of interwoven. Again, it's one of the crazier elements kind of woven throughout this, but having the ability to hear that entire EP and how it influences this movie is an incredible piece of media to also add on to it as well. So moving aside and just from a visual perspective here, I really love the art as well. I think the art on this just really pops. Just feeling like an absolute love letter to the 80s while also really embracing a lot of the sci-fi and kung fu elements. The film's art really draws out the film's inspirations and what makes this film so special. Even here on the back, I just love the simplicity of the way that the yellow and the pink pop here, as well as the white and the stills that you do see here as well. A little bit of a different art on the front cover once you remove the slip cover. Again, I really do like this. And then on the back, while it doesn't have the yellow, it does have the red, so there is a little bit less visual pop, but I do really enjoy the alternative art that is in here as well. On the inside as well, we do also have the original VHS artwork here as well that you can use as an alternative cover to what comes on the Blu-ray release as well. I also love the fact that this thing kind of came with bonuses as well, like physical things. Like I think the ninja throwing star with the film's logo on it is such a really cool like little piece of just media that you can just kind of pop out and just physically hold in your hands. I think that's a really cool touch. These definitely feel like they are more of a trademark of Visual Vengeance than actually tie into the release of Furious, because you can definitely see things here like staff pick, sex and violence, kick ass, new release, etc. These definitely add to that throwback vibe of this feeling like a modern release while also celebrating the notes and stickers that existed on releases that were in the 80s. And last but not least, we also have a poster in here as well for Furious that you can hang up on your wall, get it framed, whatever. I think out of everything that is featured in here, this is probably my least favorite. I really don't like the way that this art looks compared to some of the other artwork, especially with the company logo still on it. But, you know, if this was used as in the film's kind of release, I do enjoy that if this was an original, like, poster or maybe even Laserdisc artwork for it or a theatrical release, that this is a really cool piece of history to hold in your hands. It's just kind of updated. But from a visual standpoint, compared to everything else that we have from the slipcover to the removal of the slipcover to the Blu-ray cover itself and to even the reversal, this just kind of seems really kind of like a boring alternative to the other three designs. So from a perspective of a Blu-ray release, I'm also going to go ahead and give this one a 4 out of 5. I think there's a lot of interesting things that really kind of dig deeper into this forgotten gem of a world. I really love all of the artwork. I think all the added extra stuff, from the stickers to the bonuses, to the bonus features here, even to the Ninja Star and to the EP release and some of the concert features, as well as the archival interviews and commentaries, really do make this one to really seek out and purchase, which you guys can, in the show notes below, check out the link in the bio as well. On that, Furious is now available to own on Blu-ray or 4K. You guys can click the links in the show notes below to pick up your copy today, or if you want to just stream it, maybe you've never heard of this movie, there's also a link in the show notes below for that. But until next time, remember to stay classy. We'll see you guys soon.